Across the pond right now, President Trump touching down in the UK about 2 hours ago. Joining us now for a rundown of this presidential visit and how it's being taken on the ground there. Steve Sedgwick is live in London this morning. Steve.
Yeah, very good morning to you. This is a very different presidential visit from the one of July 2018 last year as well. That was a working visit. This is a state visit, which is actually at the behest of the Queen under advisement from the government as well. So actually, it's the Queen's invite. And today is very much about the ceremonial. You can see behind me over my left shoulder, Buckingham Palace. Any minute now, we're expecting Marine One and the ensuing entourage to arrive and actually fly down behind the front of Buckingham Palace for a whole series of official engagements culminating in a banquet, an official banquet hosted by Her Majesty the Queen this evening. Tomorrow's more about working, speaking to Mrs May about a whole host of issues, and of course it will be one of the last acts of Theresa May as Prime Minister of the country. She's actually going to resign as the head of the Conservative Party on Friday, and that'll start the leadership election. And of course, perhaps breaking diplomatic norms, as indeed he tends to do. The President has already waded into the race to become the next Prime Minister by saying, yeah, I think Boris Johnson would make an excellent Prime Minister as well, adding also that he thinks Nigel Farage, who of course a man who has backed the President during his campaign to become President a couple of years ago, he thinks Nigel Farage should be brought into the Brexit negotiations. So these comments being made in articles with the Sunday Times and the Sun in advance of the President getting here. So no stranger to controversy, keeping up the momentum there. In fact, just before he landed northeast of London today, the President made a salvo at a familiar target, that is Sedgwick, who is the Mayor of London, calling him a stone-cold loser, saying he should concentrate on crime in London and not worry about criticising the President, because Mr Khan, the Mayor of London, had said actually the UK shouldn't be rolling out the red carpet for the President on this state visit. So two familiar foes battling once again on the Twitter sphere. In fact, one of the other reasons why, of course, President Trump has been criticising Sedgwick is because he's the man who ultimately approved the baby blimp, Trump baby blimp, which goes up above London every time it seems that the President does come to the UK. There's going to be another one up tomorrow as part of the quite large protest that we're expecting here in the capital to accompany Mr Trump's visit. Other issues that will come up during this visit as well, during the working conversations with the Prime Minister tomorrow, undoubtedly what's going on with Huawei. There is conflicting ideas about whether the Chinese telecoms company should be allowed into the infrastructure of a whole host of Western countries, and Mr Trump questioning whether the British should allow Huawei to be part of that generation of 5G infrastructure as well. And that in turn has led to a whole host of Tory candidates, the likes of Boris Johnson, Jeremy Hunt and others getting involved in that debate as well. I can just hear the cavalry over my left shoulder as well, so I don't know if you can catch this, but actually there's a couple of gun carriages going into Buckingham Palace. So from that, I can assume that the gun salute to the President will actually occur. We saw earlier on the Household Guards cavalry marching past. Well, we've seen some Gurkhas at Buckingham Palace already this morning, but as you can see, a whole host of quite beautiful gun carriages going into the grounds of Buckingham Palace. So it looks like we will be getting a gun salute when the President finally does arrive. We are expecting the President's Marine One helicopter to arrive literally in the next 10-15 minutes as well. Other issues here this week include the fact that we understand that Prime Minister May will be taking the President to task about his decision to pull out of the COP21 climate change agreement. And as I say, a whole host of other issues, including the fact that Jeremy Corbyn, the leader of the opposition, has been quite critical of the President, will not be attending the state banquet this evening. And Mr Trump has been saying he thinks it would be a mistake for Jeremy Corbyn if he was not a friend of the US. And Jeremy Corbyn could potentially become a Prime Minister of the UK at some stage in the future, if indeed he's leading the polls when we have the next general election. So a whole host of issues. We've got ceremony today. Tomorrow we've got working meetings. And actually for me, very important as well, on Wednesday and Thursday, the 5th and the 6th of June, ceremonies and commemorations marking both in Portsmouth and then in Normandy on Omaha Beach, marking the 75th anniversary of D-Day. So a multifaceted visit here with the President arriving in London. Back to you.